Today, let's talk about netdecking. What is netdecking? Similar to many other gaming terms like rogue deck, yeah, try asking someone to define that, netdecking doesn't have an exact definition, probably because our friends at Merriam-Webster hate us, which leaves us with scrolling through a million online forums to try and find an exact definition, which gives you less of a definition and more of a gradient. Some people will claim it's when you copy a high-performing deck list, say a world champion one, and try to pass it off as your own online. Others will say it's when you copy a deck list online and play it exactly as it is. Heck, some people will say that the act of looking up any deck list online and even using it to assist in building your own is netdecking and should be avoided at all costs. However, the one thing that's in most people's definitions is that netdecking is generally considered to be not good. But, like most things in the world, it can be used for good, and it can be used for So let's talk about some of the ups and downs of netdecking and how new players, or any player really, can use it to get better. Many games have effectively two mechanics: making builds, playing builds. Some games are very kind in how they ramp you into it. If you play one of my favorite games, Monster Hunter World, you'll see a very similar loop. Make build, play build. Make build, play build. When you first start your game, your options for make build are pretty limited, whereas your options for play build are typically not limited at all, with the full moveset of every weapon completely unlocked for you. As you naturally get better and better at playing builds, the game slowly gives you more and more options for making builds, until you finally hit the end game in which you can both make and play builds to the fullest of your abilities.
You're doing a good job!
Now see, our game does not do this. The second you get into Yu-Gi-Oh! And go through a couple stages of mindless tutorial, you suddenly have access to every card in the game, which puts you into a situation where you now have to learn how to both make and play builds at the same time. And doing both of these at the same time is rough. You don't know where to start, you don't know where you're going, you get put in a cycle of your decks aren't good because you don't know how they're supposed to be played, and your playing isn't good because your decks aren't built in a way that can be played good. Hey guys, is this deck any good? Well, short answer no, but we've all been there before, right? So if you find yourself in this cycle and getting roasted by people online, it might be time to sell out and play a deck that someone else made, just until you can learn what you're looking for. Another important part of deck building is playtesting, which is the art of making adjustments to your deck and then slamming your head into a wall with it game after game to get a good average performance of how it works. In a game where the same deck can produce both godlike and unplayable opening hands, sometimes figuring out if something is good or not just requires a large sample size of games to be played. In reality, you're probably not going to be able to accomplish this by yourself unless you're willing to invest literally days of time. And most of us ain't got this time. Man, I gotta go to work and make YouTube videos. And even if you go through all this work, you're probably just gonna get the same answer as everyone else. Luckily for us, we can solve the problem the same way one would make a spirit bomb. Outsourcing to China. I mean, community teamwork. By using a site like Duel Links Meta to look at deck lists and ratios, you can have access to hundreds of hours of testing without doing hundreds of hours of testing. And with this, you can get a good starting point for some optimal ratios for a deck without losing your mind.
I have no idea how to play this game.
Now, I would be lying to you if I said the negativity around netdecking was completely unfounded. I said earlier that cutting a section out of the game can make the game less daunting to learn in one go, and let you tackle learning skills one at a time. However, cutting a section out can also stop a player from learning that section, and some players will go out of their ways to never learn that section. Forever. Since they can always copy someone else's deck list or build, they never have to build anything, and as a result, they miss out on a huge portion of the game. I've even seen people say that by netdecking, you'll never learn anything about the game. However, I just straight up don't believe that much is possible. Call it what you want. Faith in humanity, a good soul, my brain work, but in my opinion, there's no way any person can play a deck over and over for hours, weeks, and not eventually understand the theory of how this deck was crafted. Why does BLS play Crackdown? Why is Envoy? Envoy? Envoy. Why is Envoy in Live Twin? Why is Needle Sealing in Rockets? Why does Gaia play Book of Moon? Maybe it takes you an hour of playing, maybe it takes you weeks. No matter how long it takes, how many decks you copy, you will end up learning something no matter what. Though players online seem absolutely determined to prove me wrong. All in all, I hope this was a good overview about why netdecking is both great and terrible, and why you should still use it to get better. Good, bad, who knows. Thanks for watching. Let me know if there's any other content you want me to make.